Hi, everyone. Welcome to Ensemble Volume 15, What's Next in Music? My name is Byron Kent Wong, and I want to thank you all for joining us. We have an incredible lineup of ambassadors, leaders, and storytellers from the music industry. One of the perks of helping to create an event like this is not only being able to meet and connect with new artists and performers, but also to reconnect with old friends and colleagues. And one of my favorite friends and colleagues from the music industry is Jimmy Shaw. Now, Jimmy, as you may know, is the co-founder, guitarist, and producer of the incredible band Metric. Jimmy, how's it going?
Hello, Byron.
How have you been keeping, man? It's been too long since we've seen each other in person.
It really has. I mean, we've kept in pretty good communication, and I always appreciate that. We tend to go pretty deep on the text when we reach out to each other, so that's always a good time. But yeah, things have been good. It's been an interesting time, to say the least.
We have had an opportunity to explore so many great concepts and notions of what is next in music, and those have been really through the eyes and ears and processes of a number of people. One of those people is this amazing artist who I didn't know anything about her before. I'd heard her name, but I did not know her. Her name is Domanique Grant. Have you heard of Domanique Grant?
No, I haven't.
So Domanique is this remarkable artist, influencer, and what I was not expecting was, in addition to being a great singer and producer and visualist, she really has a commitment to speaking about well-being and wellness and her own journey through that. It's pretty remarkable. There was a time, when we were coming up, when you just could not speak about those things. No, you needed it. You really, it was always about the theater, wasn't it?
Yeah, for sure. You needed to appear a certain way, or at least we've all kind of felt like we did anyway.
Well, I had a chance to catch up with Domanique in the studio, and we had a chat about life, kindness, fear, and the creative process.
I think as artists, we wake up every day and we just work to do our best to be as real and authentic as we can be with who we are, and to muffle through all of the noise that tells us who we should and shouldn't be, and to hopefully find ourselves at one point. I am vulnerable. I am an artist. I'm a creator, and I'm someone who just wants to be able to tell stories authentically and hope that it reaches people in a way that impacts their life, but also inspires them to see where they can make impact. I'd say that I am getting closer to being my realist version. And I say that because I think a lot of us go through years where we're creating music that we really love, and that says a lot about who we are, but it doesn't allow us to take the big risk, that big risk of vulnerability.
What I'm noticing with this next generation of artists is that authenticity, that sense of creation, that sense of community is actually at the forefront of everything you want to do. Where does that vocabulary come from?
It comes from growing up and seeing a lot. We've learned a lot from our parents. We've seen decades before. We've seen the errors that have been made throughout history. And we also have the privilege of being able to wake up, especially as someone who was born and raised in Canada, to say, what is it that I want to do? And I've been very privileged to travel quite a bit and to live in quite a few places, from East Africa to South America. And when you've been to different parts of the world and you actually start to acknowledge what a privilege it is to be a creator, what a privilege it is to actually be able to create music and to be able to do it full time, I almost feel like there's a responsibility. And that responsibility is first and foremost learning from what our parents went through and learning from the hard work that our parents did to ensure that we could have as much as we have right now.
What are some of the tools that you've used to do that, and how do you see those tools evolving?
I think the first thing is really evaluating the relationship that we have with fear. I was someone who woke up, dealt with extensive anxiety, was generally underestimated, and just had to deal with quite a few obstacles. And because of that, it taught me how to become a better version, but it taught me how to identify the things that are in my way and how to figure out how to overcome them. And so when I say the relationship with fear, we all deal with fear. we all deal with challenges, but our ability to see the fear and to do it anyway is what allows us to keep going. The ability to be terrified of going in front of an audience and not hitting those notes, and then to be told that you're not the best singer, and then to choose to push through the fear and to continue working is what's going to allow someone who's okay to become really, really, really great. And so by really studying fear, I learned how to understand that it isn't actually just about being that inspired person that's happy all the time. It's about seeing the thing and doing it anyway. The second thing that I'd say has been a huge part of my journey has been kindness. If every person can ask, how can I be kinder? How can I add kindness to my intention as a creator? But how can I just be kind in my day-to-day things that I do? It really is a huge part of finding your path and finding your tribe. The simplicity of saying thank you, of going on a set and learning everyone's name, of getting to know who you're working with and to really learn the personal things about the people that you're in spaces with. It helps you build a community, and it allows you to understand that we're all working together.
As a social media influencer, are you conscious of the fear and the kindness that is occurring all the time within that? And have you found yourself fearful of those tools?
Yes, and yes, and yes, and yes, and yes.
Okay.
I think that a lot of the time when people see me, they see a very strong person. And I like to believe that I am that. But I think underneath strength is all of the other layers. Social media terrifies me. So it isn't something that just comes easily. I have to really work at becoming comfortable at posting. And it's a lot of work to feel confident to go into a space where people can say anything about the thing that you're the most sensitive about, that you're opening your heart up about, you know? I have learned over the years I've learned how to identify when those things are coming up and how to push through them. And so there are days when I'm not successful, and there are days when I'm a bit more successful. But I know that at the end of the day, I've created a kind of a social contract with myself in which I say, you know what, if you're getting up and you're making it a priority to create something that's authentic to you, it has something that it's giving back to the world, regardless of what happens, you have to be okay with it, and you have to set a standard for not measuring the response that other people give you, but instead setting your own, social contracts with yourself and finding a way to be comfortable with that. I think that the future of music for a lot of people is going to be creating from a space that is real.
Don't drop the mic, but that's mic drop time. Yeah. Killer.
This year, studio is my stage.
It felt like everything that I had been working towards and building just stopped. RBC was like, we love what you're doing, keep going.
With RBC X Music, it's not just about having a big brand behind you. It's about having someone say that I believe in your vision, and I want to support that.
I think the RBC support's dope, because it's bigger than just the music. It's giving me a platform.
So what is the head of music, and what does it mean to be the head of music for TikTok? Arguably the most influential and important platform for musicians and creators on the planet right now. So we got a chance to catch up with Adam Birchall of TikTok, who tells us exactly what that means. What is a head of music at TikTok?
I think, it really just means I'm here to try to help others win. What can we do to contribute to move their agendas forward, get their names out there, help their projects get a little bit more visibility? And there's a lot that goes into that, growing a business, all these sorts of things. But I think at the nucleus, my job is to help others win, because if we do that, we'll win ourselves.
And tell us how you're making those wins happen. How is TikTok influencing the music industry here in Canada? And if you can also speak to it sort of globally, because it is clearly, without any doubt, it is clearly the main connector to an audience in the world right now.
Yeah, it starts by understanding what makes TikTok different. I don't want to use the word better. We're just different, and every medium has its differences. Ours is that we take the platform itself has a democratic approach to content distribution. And so, you hear a lot of people talk about the algorithm or things blowing up. I love that about this place because it allows the public to decide what they like or what they don't like. This might be kind of weird, but it's really about helping people translate this platform, help people understand it. Artists have so many things going on, not the least of which is making the art that we all love. And so, paying attention to what's going on at TikTok and, happening on the platform and in the community here, not everybody has the time to do that. We start by ensuring that we're working with artists to help them navigate TikTok, to help them understand what's happening, throw in ideas that we think might resonate where possible. And then, we have a lot of other, off-platform partnerships ourselves. And so helping artists become a part of those to create a 1 + 1 = 3 scenario is great.
Can we talk about the impact and the benefit to artists who are working on TikTok and what sort of tools TikTok has to help create impact and benefit for artists?
We have a lot of editorial levers, just as much as our friends at other media companies do. We have playlists, and we have high visibility areas of our app that we can place artists into to make sure that they're getting seen by as wide of an audience as possible. That said, it's the people that make the artist successful. Understanding the challenges and the opportunities that come with the democratic approach to content distribution that we have. We're not just a promo platform. You have to present yourself and your music in various ways to get people's attention, to see, to help other users see how this might be relatable to their lives and their experiences and their artistic expression. Helping artists understand that because you're going in front of a new audience every time you post a video, you're preaching to the non-converted. So you could come out of the box and say, well, here's behind the scenes footage of my new music video. But if these people don't know who you are because they're seeing you for the first time because you're in their algorithm, there's no connection to that. Next, scrolling, that's not for me, next. So, again, I think what's interesting about TikTok is it's a new universe that's impacting the outside universe. And when you show up, being able to give a little wink or a nudge that, I've been paying attention to what's going on in this universe and now I'm a part of it. I get it. I understand this place. It goes a long way because, people on the platform know when something is of the community or isn't. So, I think an artist that did a great job of it, as an example, is actually a band that maybe you wouldn't associate with being, what people would think is a TikTok artist. And that term is hilarious to me because there's no such thing as a TikTok artist. But it was Nickelback. So there was a movement a few months ago around sea shanties. And, this world of old, nautical songs picking back up. And, some artists found some really big success, got great big record deals out of it. And it was an interesting way for them to showcase their talents, which was great. So then Nickelback, sort of with a wink and a nudge came on and did a nod to one of their songs, like through the lens of sea shanties, because it was big at the time. And everyone was like, this is amazing. I need more of this, like make the whole song. And then they released a sea shanties version of Rockstar that did very well. And it was just like this, again, it was like, we're here with a wink and a nudge to say, like, we're paying attention to what's going on. We want to be a part of what you're doing. And I thought that was really well done. I think that, like, really, again, helping artists understand those things. And we help, when Nickelback calls and says, hey, we're thinking about doing this with the sea shanties thing, like, we help them get that off the ground. But at the end of the day, we're here to help the artists. I don't want to sound cheesy or like I'm dodging a question, but we're here to pour gas on the fires. We're not here to decide what the fires should be.
There is absolutely, to your point, a culture around TikTok, and there's an entry point There's an expectation for duration, quality, vibe, all of those things. So there is a culture that you have to buy into, but you do so by bringing in your individuality, which I find really unique. Yeah. And in many ways, that to me actually represents so much around what's always been the future of music. What is always next in music is, how do you take your individualism and bring it to something that is collectively experienced in an audience or a culture or whatever? That's what I find very fascinating about what you are doing.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, like what we're helping is we're helping communities find the scale that they might not normally have found. And then you realize, oh, wait a minute, it's not so niche after all. There was just no way for the communities to get connected, create their own momentum that way. So I think that to me is like really, really important, is making sure that all voices have an opportunity to be heard, because the more that happens, the more like-minded voices get connected and then create new communities. And that's, that to me is important, is everybody feeling like they have a place and making sure that all of those people and all of those places have an opportunity to be successful.
What is the future of music? What's next in music?
I think the future of music is going to be up for the people to decide. And that's what I love about being at TikTok, is our goal is to help get as much music and as many artists in front of people as possible, and they'll tell us what they like.
If you don't know what publishing is, like I think most of the public and music connoisseurs, they go, yeah, like people make records and there's probably engineers and obviously musicians, and maybe they understand maybe even a producer or a mixer, because that all sort of brings back to the sonics of things and what they're listening to with music. But music publishing and the role and the incredible support role that music publishers have in the music industry is often not really talked about, sort of public facing. Publishing played a critical role in a lot of your developments in the early days, didn't it?
It did. I mean, the first sort of infusion of energy and money and support that Emily and I ever got was through a publisher. That was in the year 2000 when we were living in the UK. And that was a huge deal for us. It enabled us to sort of get up off the ground and really get started. I think that there's still sort of like, I agree with you. There's a lot of confusion around what publishers do. I've met some publishers that aren't totally sure what publishers do. And I've definitely met more musicians that don't have a clue what's going on in the publishing world.
Well, to discuss what is coming up in music publishing, we have this amazing Canadian music publishers panel led by our friend Margaret McGuffin, who is the CEO of Music Publishers Canada. And I'm going to pass it over to her.
Hello, I'm Margaret McGuffin. I am the CEO of Music Publishers Canada.
Hi, I'm Nicole Pratt. I'm the Director of Administration at Anthem Entertainment.
And I am Keziah Myers, the Executive Director of Advance, Canada's Black Music Business Collective.
Today we're going to talk to you about what the future looks like for music. And specifically, we're going to be talking about music publishing. I always say that music publishing is the best kept secret in the music industry. And we're going to give you a few hints on what happens in our music publishing companies and how songwriters and composers work with music publishers. Music publishing is the part of the industry that relates to the song and to the scores that you hear on film and television and video games. It has changed dramatically in the last 20 years. And we're going to talk a little bit today about how we're going to be seeing more massive change in the next 5 to 10 years. Let's start with Keziah. Can you talk a little bit about Advance and the work that you've been doing?
I am new to Advance, but Advance actually has been in the works now for about 2 years. And Advance, as I said before, is Canada's Black Music Business Collective. It is focused on diversifying the music industry and placing Black professionals within that industry in all different areas, but really also not seeing them being placed in the industry, but seeing this upward mobility within the industry. So Canada's music industry right now has a number of Black artists. What we don't have are Black music business professionals within the scope of publishing houses, where we don't have in the scope of performing rights organizations, labels, live spaces, etc. So really that's what Advance is here to do, is to help to facilitate that and collaborate with all music industry organizations so that we do see Black people in professional roles in these spaces, elevating to ideally decision-making positions and senior executive roles.
Can you highlight a little bit what your plans are for the next 2 to 3 years with Advance?
One of the first things that's on the docket is talking about job placements and how we can have Black students, Black adults, Black people who are in mid-career levels enter into the music industry. Right now, we've recognized that there are a couple of barriers that limit the ability for a Black student, for example, to get into the music industry. And if we as Advance can eliminate these barriers and focus on systemic changes, then we can broaden the group of potentially excellent candidates that are available to work in these spaces. But we do also, over the next few years, we'll be focusing on advocacy and policy change, which I kind of said at the beginning. And that's just really systemic and addressing those issues so that we can have a more inclusive music industry space all around.
Thanks, Keziah. And we've been talking to you at Music Publishers Canada about how we can work with you on this. We also are very interested in professional development. We are starting a next generation membership category because we're really looking at how we recruit the right people into music publishing going forward, but also how we provide training to our members and current members about equity and diversity and issues, but also around the issues of how tech is impacting our companies. And I'd like to talk to you, Nicole, about that, because Anthem is a very interesting company. It's a fairly new publishing company. And just tell us a little bit about them, because tech has been a very big part of your journey.
So Anthem Entertainment, it's been around, like you said, for probably maybe about 15 years. And we're a company that likes to focus on the artist and ensuring that our songwriters and artists are being supported. But the thing that people don't realize as well is that publishing plays a really important role in ensuring that, for all the art that you're doing, you're being compensated. You're being compensated accordingly. So our focus has been on watching the market's trends in the industry. Where are we seeing airplay? Where are we seeing, syncs and things like that happening? And how can we tie that airplay, that performance back to ensuring that we're collecting your royalties. So whether that's working with third parties and sub-publishers in other areas to ensure that we're collecting across the world, or also diving into our tech and ensuring that we are investing in our internal technology to ensure that we can match our information to those airings. So part of that work is just ensuring that we have the right people in place. So, we're looking for, the right IT developer, the right analyst. Analyst is something that we, have started to work towards more and more. Where in the past, our focus, on the hiring front was, you always want people who love music and are in music and maybe come from those music schools. But we've branched off, and I think we've broadened our scope of hiring to include financial analysts and, people who are in accounting and things like that, to ensure that we're able to look at the information in a way that is critical and that makes sense. You know, it's important for us to get that kind of talent that can look at data, because a lot of this publishing is data. It's very data heavy. We're talking about metadata, whether it comes to, you know, all the identifiers that are included with your music, your ISRCs, your ISWCs, and being able to track that information and bring it back to the airings data. So Margaret, a question for you. Can you talk to us a little bit about how Music Publishers Canada is, you know, changing its engagement with publishers in Canada as well as abroad?
Music Publishers Canada is one of the oldest trade organization in the music space in Canada, well over 70 years old. And we have always been involved in public policy and in copyright discussions, and that still is the center of what we do day to day. But we're really looking at what music publishers and young music publishers need to succeed globally. I'm especially proud also of the work we've been doing with our Women in the Studio Accelerator. This is a new program in its third year that offers women, gender fluid, non-binary, and gender non-conforming producers curated workshops, educational sessions, and networking opportunities within the music publishing space. We're so proud of the producers in this program, and just starting our third year, you need to look at our website and meet these producers, because they should be on your next project.
Hi. Hey, it's Rini.
Hi, my name is Camille Poliquin.
I'm Teddy.
I'm Bria Isabel.
It's your girl Denise Dion.
My name is Carmen L.
My name is Maya.
Lisa Patterson here.
I'm Alex Bekovsky, otherwise known as Fiora.
My name is Sanson.
Hi, my name is Isabel Banos, and I was a participant in the Women in the Studio.
Of the Women in the Studio.
Women in the Studio this past year.
Being an independent artist, it was important for me to learn everything possible about the music industry.
From the business side of things, the technical side of things, the creative side of things, the marketing side of things.
The mentors and the collaborators of the program, I feel so lucky to have been able to be on calls with people who I really admire.
Just how diverse the different panels were. Across the board, they covered all the bases, and a lot of those panelists I reached out to and have been building those relationships ever since.
It was all a big eye-opener.
It has been so instrumental for me in progressing and in developing with my production skill, and really instill that confidence that we all need to really, keep ourselves motivated and reassuring ourselves that, we're doing the right thing and we're in the right field.
And of course, the best reason of all, collaborating with fellow female producers. This was the biggest draw for me.
There's just so much that I've learned in the past year, and being able to put all that knowledge into action, into practice, has completely skyrocketed my career in a way that I would have never imagined.
Along the way, I signed my first co-publishing deal with Concord Music Group out of Nashville. I got some of my first cuts and sync placements as a producer. And one major highlight was meeting one-on-one with one of my songwriting and production idols, Alex Hope.
This led to so many cool opportunities for me, including, but not limited to, working with Linda Perry, who is a baller, as well as Splice. I actually put out a pack with them as a result.
Being in the program with primarily electronic producers, as a producer of primarily acoustic musics, I had this insight that if I could integrate those two worlds, I could bring something really unique to a specialized niche. And the results of that work can be heard on a recent single that I produced for Andrea Florian that's out, and several EPs coming up.
I've gotten sync licenses. I just did the music for the first season of a new TV show, which I'd never done before. When I look back on this year, it feels surreal, and so much of that was because of the Women in the Studio program.
And I really do feel like there's now a connection and through the program, and that I could reach out to them for support or advice or anything, musical career related. I feel like I have found new allies in my musical career in them, so I'm extremely thankful.
My one-on-one with Linda Perry, which led me to create an album that ended up on the Polaris Prize shortlist, DNA Activation from Witch Prophet. I also got signed to High Priestess Publishing.
After the program, this company called CCS Rights Management reached out as they were looking for female producers and invited me to a camp where I was able to work with other creatives in the music industry. Me and artist Miles Costello ended up working on a song called Sangria that ended up coming out. I'm still working on the producing stuff, still making beats, and recently landed a placement on new Netflix series Jenny in Georgia. Also on the artist side, I go by Maya's Diary and have amassed over 10 million streams in 2020, which I'm extremely grateful for.
Thank you again, Women in the Studio program, Music Publishers Canada.
Thank you to everyone over at Music Publishers Canada. Thank you to Music Publishers Canada and the Women in the Studio program for making that happen.
I feel so grateful. Thank you for everything. It was an amazing journey. I mean, if I could take it again, I would, 100%.
To all the women that are producers, engineers, and I just encourage us to keep, forming this community and growing every single day.
We've all come through this together, and we kind of have this bond and this kind of new family that we've started. And so I look forward to seeing what all of you do in the future.
So I look forward to seeing what everyone else is working on. And I hope we get to sit in a room at some point soon.
And to all of the future participants out there in the Women in the Studio program, enjoy it, soak it in. Your brain will be a sponge.
I wish the best of luck to the 2021 Women in the Studio program. You're going to have so much fun.
Thank you, Music Publishers Canada.
Kardinall Offishall, what is there to say about him that has not already been said? Jimmy, you've met Cardi a few times, eh?
I have. Very special individual.
Yeah, I mean, he's always on fire.
Whenever the guy rolls into a room, you're like, that guy's on fire.
Yeah, and now the room's on fire in the best of ways.
Yeah, exactly. I think it really helps everybody out.
So I got a chance to catch up with Cardi down in the Portlands here in Toronto, and we spoke about access, option, and the evolution of the artist.
Hey yo, what up? It's Mr. Kardinall Offishall. You already know how it goes, straight for the T.O. Producer, rapper, Senior VP of the Streets, or SVP of A&R for Universal Music Canada, philanthropist, and everything in between. Yeah, I mean. This is the Free the City Music Festival that I put on. It's the first of its kind. Towards the end of the pandemic, myself, a lot of my friends, colleagues within the business, it just felt like we were all drained, like we've all had enough. Initially, this was supposed to be part of a 20-year celebration of one of my albums, the Firestarter Volume 1 album.
But that 20-year journey,
yeah.
Similar, look at where we are now in that notion of engagement.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about the difference of being an artist 20 years ago and coming out into the world to what you're doing and how you are as an artist now, but also how you're helping new artists now.
I think the entire industry was a lot more curated than it is now. And then also we had, as artists and creatives, we had a lot less access. There weren't as many platforms that were readily available to us. So outside of college radio, maybe a little mainstream radio, you would have institutions like Much Music. And that was one of the only ways that we had to get our music out nationally. And on top of that, it filtered out 99% of the working musician class. There were so many people that were starving artists that were trying to get on, and you had to go those ways in order to see success. The difference is, shifting to 20 years later, there is a million times more noise. There's I think the stats are there's 400,000 new songs that come out each week compared to maybe, a couple thousand a year that came out 20 years ago. So when you think about that, yes, now we have so much more access, but how do you cut through the noise? It's so much more difficult to be unique and to be appreciated and to be loved. And back then you were fighting for people's money. So for me to be successful, it was all about record sales. It was very transactional. Now we're fighting for people's time. Now there's kind of an economic blanket that's around the music industry, if you will. If you think about Apple Music or Spotify or Amazon or any one of these services, you're just paying a monthly subscription. So we all have access to everything. But what it is, it's time. So if there's 1 million albums that are coming out, well, which one of those albums is going to get my time? That's why you're seeing artists being converted into brands. It's not just about music. Now it's about the music. It's about how you look, what you stand for. Are you a philanthropist? Are you a businessman? All these different things are what the fans are buying into. And that's, I think, what's getting the most support is those people that have something interesting to offer besides their music.
And you now also, as a music executive, when you are working with young people, how are those pathways coming? Because there is so much opportunity, but time is the key. What are you now as a music executive doing to help artists understand that they are not just musicians, but a brand and a celebrity and a storyteller?
Well, you see, it's kind of unfair to artists. Not everybody is an entrepreneur. It's very difficult right now to put a lot of weight on the artist, but they're growing up in a time where that is the norm. What we're doing is mentoring a lot more, educating a lot more. When I first started and when I got my deal, it's kind of like you signed the deal and you had different departments that did things for you. Whereas now, the label is looking to the artist for the direction. But we're able to amplify, we're able to help promote. So the thing is, there's a lot of learning, I think, on both sides, because every artist that comes in, you know, they're an entity unto themselves. So I think what we have to do right now, why it's very difficult in terms of being an executive, but very rewarding at the same time, is making sure that we can identify what is what and what mechanism works best with which artist. And I think that's, you know, in terms of combination of commerce, technology, and artistry, that is what really equals success, is when you figure out those three things and be able to mesh them together perfectly. That's when you see the most success, I think, from the world's leading artists.
What do the Bonnaroo Music Festival, Outside Lands Festival, and Red Light Management all have in common? Well, besides being hubs and organizations known for their curation and diversity, they were also guided by someone named Jonathan Nazu. Now, Jonathan has had a long history in doing some remarkable work in the music industry, but over the last 2 years, he's launched something called the Culture Collective.
Hey, it's Jonathan Azu. I am CEO and founder of Culture Collective. We are an artist management and record label company based out of everywhere in the post-pandemic world. My background is media, spent many years working for CBS Radio, then went into live events. I was part of this small team that helped start and build super awesome, massive cultural festivals in the United States. For example, Bonnaroo Music and Arts Festival and Outside Lands Music Festival in San Francisco. I former GM of Red Light Management, which is one of the larger talent management companies in the world. And then about 2 years ago, I decided to launch Culture Collective. I went to a George Clinton concert my sophomore year of college, and I was really blown away by the diversity of people that were there at the show. They were all there to have a common experience, and I was just so taken back from it that I knew immediately what I wanted to do. I wanted to be in the live event business. I wanted to be in the music business. I wanted to bring people together. I wanted to work hard. Being the orchestrator of that experience really is what my initial love and passion for the music business was for.
Several years ago, you were voted one of the top 40 under 40 by Billboard magazine. I'd love to talk about what that meant to you to be selected by Billboard.
I was 35 when I became general manager of Red Light, which, in its own right is pretty, impressive now that I look back at it. Two-time Billboard 40 under 40, and then I joked. Then you get to the wrong side of 40, and you start to look back. You start to look back at how you got there, and you think about the people that really shoulders that you stood on, and the people that opened up doors. And for me, you look back at it, and it was people that didn't look like me. I think about my years at CBS Radio, literally in the office of the CEO of CBS. Not one black C-level or senior level executive did I work with. My time at Superfly was a very small company, and we were one of the first 10 employees. Very diverse in its set of executives there. It was a startup, so it had that spirit. It had that spirit of what you see at the festivals. That diversity on stage. You saw that come to life within the four walls of the working environment. I was lucky enough to go over to Red Light as an executive But again, I look across the table at a C level, meaning senior vice president, executive vice president, GM level, is always just me sitting there. And you start to look back about how you got there, why you got there, and what are the secrets of success? And do you want to be a person that just kind of holds those close to the chest and you don't share them and you say to yourself, I'm lucky to have gotten where I'm at and I continue to pave down this road? Or do you want to be a person that does that, but at the same time really is vocal about why am I the only person that actually is at these tables? So, sometimes I felt like I was actually invited to stuff because we need to have some diversity. And since you're the only person that actually is diverse that works with us, we need you to come physically sit at this table. So it's like I had a seat at the table and then I was asked to have a seat at the table. And you ask yourself, well, why am I the only person at the table?
There are a lot of people who would love to be part of the creative process. And I would love to hear how you are looking to have everyone participate through what you're doing with Culture Collective, but also just in the music industry in general.
Music's it's an industry where people take their passion and they turn them into a profession, and that's not an easy thing to do. I had a passion and I had to figure out how to take that passion and turn it into a career like most people do. So to me, it starts with that passion. It burns inside you and you have a desire to want to manifest it in a 9 to 5, if you will, even though we work 7 days a week. You want to manifest it in that way. And to me, that's where it starts. Now, the hiccup that we've had in our industry as it relates to diversity is that there's no examples of where you can go with it, how far you can go with your career. If you don't see CEOs, you don't see EVPs and SVPs and people that started their own companies, people that have exited from starting companies. If you don't see those things, it becomes very difficult to think that you can be that.
I'd love to know a little bit about Airbrush and some of the story behind why you thought that was a story to tell.
I was in New York a couple of years ago, and I had the privilege of going to a really amazing music festival, and I got to meet Janelle Monáe and had a really meaningful conversation with her and just talking about the things that we have to go through, both as women of color, both as creators, and when you're in the public eye. Airbrush is a song that just talks about all of the things that, we have been told to do in order to go viral. And virality is like everyone's goal today. But in the midst of it is like, who do you become when you don't stop and take a moment? And so Airbrush is a really fun single that just flips it on its head and says, I'm just going to be myself. There are going to be days where I want to wear wigs. There are going to be days where I want to wear my hair in locks. There are going to be days when I want to wear my hair out. I don't want to talk about it. I just want to make sure that it's what I'm comfortable with. I want to make sure it's not what anyone else is prescribing for me to find myself. I want to make sure that it's what I'm choosing to do because I want to be the realest version of myself. Being authentic with who you are, and despite what the algorithm wants you to become, becoming what you know that you can be. And so that conversation with Janelle Monáe really just was like, hey, this is a normal thing. And I actually was nervous to put this song out and to put out a lot of the new music that I'm putting out. And she said something to me that really, really changed things. And she said that regardless of who you are or where you come from, everyone has a responsibility and everyone deserves to be able to share an honest story. And if that's your story, people are going to benefit from it.
Hey, it's Domanique Grant, and today I'm partnering with Ensemble and RBC to do a special intimate version of my debut single. This is Airbrush.
They told me size 6'8", work and make her waist to 2. Brown eyes ain't in, we can make them blue. Skin's way too dark, please lighten that. Airbrush, airbrush till she's TV black. Mink lashes on, throw on some stilettos. Now we got a supermodel. Make the young girls think they could look like the magazine. They wanna edit me, edit me. Make me a model for the gram, model for the screen. Edit me, edit me. Hips like Kim and waist like Beyonce. Hashtag Instagram queen police. They wanna Photoshop me, make me the American dream. that shit, airbrush, hit delete, leave, airbrush, crop that shit, Juno X Pro, can we filter that? Push it up, suck it in, yeah, we got a thirst trap. Add a little bit of late, just an inch or two. Brazilian body wave, inch 32. Fenty on, legs out for days, yeah. Yeah, we're gonna make her famous. Make the young girls say, we'll do anything for the fame. They wanna edit me. Make me a model for the gram, model for the screen. Edit me. With hips like Kim and a waist like Beyonce. Hashtag Instagram queen police. They wanna Photoshop me. Make me the American dream. Hashtag Instagram queen. Airbrush, crop that shit. Airbrush, hit delete. Airbrush, crop that shit. Hashtag Instagram queen.
That was amazing.
Yeah, right? Like, just, she has everything working, and she's done this as a completely independent artist during COVID.
Which is also remarkable, you know?
Yeah. Okay, that wraps up side 1 of Ensemble Volume 15, What's Next in Music. Join us next week for side 2 with producer extraordinaire and new music executive Gavin Brown, artist manager Phoebe Salvador, and a truly unique and remarkable band from the Bay Area in California that's fusing hip hop and classical music. Jimmy, thanks for hanging, man. This has been super fun.
Yeah,
I really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We'll see you next week for Volume 15, What's Next in Music, Side 2.